Hello, nerds. Welcome back to my channel, Psychology Network. Today's topic is transactional analysis under psychotherapies, which is in the Unit 9 of UGC Net syllabus booklet. The unit's name is Human Development and Intervention. Now, see this video as if you're doing an online class, and it would become very easy for you to watch the entire video. Now, I have made this video in depth, but for UGC aspirants, you do not need so much. And I will tell what is important so you can mark it or write it down. Now, there is already a part one of this series where I've covered psychoanalysis, person centered therapy, gestalt therapy, and acceptance commitment therapy. The timestamps for this video I'll be putting in the description box below so you can jump to the part you want to see. Now, I'm a bit sick, so pardon me on that. My voice might sound different. Now, for the reference, I've used Wahlberg. Now, transactional analysis was given by Eric Byrne. Please remember this name, Eric Byrne, and he said that transactional analysis is helping people to understand their interpersonal relationships in a simplified manner. Now, it's taken from psychoanalysis, but psychoanalysis, as we all know, it's a very in depth process, a very complicated one, as you can say, but this one is a very simplified way. Now, the concepts for transactional analysis, as I mentioned, is taken from psychoanalysis, communication theory, and game theory. The last slide which you saw was very important for UGC. Now, even this slide is very important for UGC, which is the ego states. They might ask what are the ego states, but mostly if they ask that which therapy is ego states related to, that would be your transactional analysis. Now, the first ego state of a person is the regressive relic of a person or the child within the person, and which is called the archeopsych. The second one is the parent, the parental agency which the person has incorporated through identification, and it is known as the exteropsych. The third one is the grown up, mature, reasonable data processing adult self, which is called the neopsych. Now, all these three are there in a person. But what's important is to see which one is the dominant one, and that would result into the kind of psychopathology. Now, each of these aspects, as I've said, that the person perceives reality differently. Through all these aspects of person, the reality is perceived differently. How? That the child part actually watches the world pre-logically and distortedly. Pre-logically means no logic, and the parent watches the world judgmentally. Now, the adult part, how he would or she would watch the world or see the world, is on the basis of the past experiences. Now, these three are working according to the needs of the person in the present environment. Now, the therapeutic aspect isn't very important for UGC net. From here onwards, for UGC net, only the words would be important, only the main words and terms like structural analysis, these kind of terms would be important. If they give you match the following, then if they ask, they give you five different terms from different therapies and the name of the therapies in the other column, then structural analysis would be for your transactional analysis. Now, the ego states and psychopathological manifestations, this is very easy to remember. uh, don't get scared because of all the wordings, but I've put so many wordings in a slide because either you can keep a screenshot of it or you can take it down, and maybe people who want to hear the topic on depth, they can read through it. But to remember, for UGC people, I'm saying it's very easy. I'll tell you. Only hallucinations is associated with the parent ego. But other than that, delusions, depersonalization, hypomania, conversion, hysteria, character disorders, and impulse neurosis are all related to the child ego state. Now, so it becomes very easy. Except hallucinations, all are related to the child ego state. Although this slide, as I said, from this slide onwards, it's not very important for UGC aspirants. Now, what is a therapist's role? The therapist's role is basically in the first half of the therapy, which is the structural analytic work. Now, there what happens is the therapist's ego states. The therapist also has three ego states. Now, therapist's ego state will work together for the benefit of the patient. And what happens is the therapist breaks down the barriers that enable the child and the patient to communicate freely if there is a specific problem being addressed to, and the dialogue between the therapist and the patient or the client helps to uncover which kind of psychopathology he has or which state is the more dominant one. And then we go to the second half of the therapeutic work, which is the transactional analysis. Like you can see here, the structural analysis work is the first half, and these would include majorly 2 3 individual sessions, which is just between the therapist and the client. Then comes the transactional analysis, which happens in the group setting. Why does this happen? Because this helps the client to have a social control. Because in a group setting, uh, a lot of stimuli can occur. In those situations, the of adult in the patient or the client would maintain a social control on the patient's child and the parent ego. Now, these words you can remember for UGC what I'm talking about. That's like the script analysis, game analysis, cross transactions. These are all related to transactional analysis. Just remember these words so it becomes easier for you if the question comes. Now, what happens is that all the members in that group setting already have had the structural analytic work done, which is the 2 to 3 sessions with the therapist itself. Now, in the group setting, what happens? How their ego states are behaving in the face of a stimuli, they can themselves understand. They get the insight for that, and also learn to diagnose each other. Not diagnose in the sense of diagnosing, but they can understand which ego state of the other person is working in the face of a particular kind of stimuli. Now, this was your transactional analysis for UGC. I repeat this slide, the ego states, and this first slide is very important. Eric Berne gave the therapy, and the three ego states you must remember, and the few terms which I said, you should keep those in mind because those terms may come as match the following. They might give you five therapy names and five different terms from different areas. So you have to match them. So you don't know, if you don't know the terms, it might get difficult. So this was all about transactional analysis. I hope you learned something. And if you learned something, definitely hit that like and subscribe button so I can keep making free content for you guys to learn from. Thank you so much, and I hope you understood something.